Now let's look at how to solve example 2. Erica borrowed $25,000 to cover expenses at uni, and she makes a monthly payment of $500, and the interest is calculated at 9.5% per annum, adjusted monthly. So this is basically the yearly interest. How do I make it into months? I divide it by 12. Now for A section, they want you to write the recurrence relation that gives the amount still owing on the loans after n months. Now let's look at how to solve A. Now find any variable that you want to put it here to represent. So you can use any alphabet. So I'll just choose AN. So what does it mean by AN? AN means the amount still owing after n months. So that's my definition. And using the format that you are used to or you have been taught earlier, AN equals to this being the interest that is actually meant for the repayment period. So in this case, it's your monthly interest. So it's 1 plus. The interest incurred here is 9.5% over 12. And then AN minus 1. How much is your monthly payment? 500. Now percent, I have to break it into the net here being 9.5 over 1200. Then I have in this form minus 500. So now how can I have the recurrence relation? So I write this whole thing. AN equals to 1 plus 9.5 over 1200 times AN minus 1 minus 500. And don't forget about the initial term, because recurrence relation, always you must have the initial term. So what is the amount that she actually borrowed? The amount she borrowed is 25,000. Now let's look at section B. They ask how much Erica owed after 2 years. So if you look at the recurrence relation, if you start with A0, after 2 years is after how many months? It's after 24 months. So I'm going to use the CAS calculator here to help me to find the 24th terms. So I go to On button, List and Spreadsheet, go to the top of the column, press menu 3, 1, generate the sequence, and replace this with the calculator term. So it's bracket 1 plus 9.5 divided by 1200 close bracket times U, because the term is in U, and the previous term is n minus 1 close bracket, and minus 500, right? And your initial term being 25,000. Okay, then I just click OK. So do take note, your calculator start with row 1, but your question start with A0. So when it's actually A1 in the calculator, it meant A0. So when for your calculator, when you go to the second row, it's actually your A1 value. So you want to find A24. So in your calculator, you go to the row of 25. So this is your answer. And do remember to look at this below value because you need 2 decimal points. So for this, I know because I follow my recurrence relation, I have started with A0, so I need to write 24. but I refer to my calculator, the row 25. Okay, so the value here will be 17049.98. So Erica owes 17,049.98 after 2 years. Now let's go back to section C. Now section C, Erica have obtained a loan with 8.5% instead. So compared to the previous one, you have a 1% reduction, right? How much will she have to pay after? So how much does she have to pay after 2 years, right? So again, the interest shown here is a yearly. To make it into monthly, I have to divide it by 12. So for section C, I rewrite the recurrence relation. I revised it. 1 plus 8.5 divided by, again, 1200 times AN minus 1 minus 500 monthly repayment, with the initial loan amount being 25,000. Now let's generate the sequence using your CAS calculator. I go to the second column, menu, tray 1, right, type the equation in, 1 plus 8.5 divided by 1200, close bracket, times the term in calculator U, bracket, and minus 1 being the previous term, minus 500 monthly payment. And your initial term, 25,000, right? Everything okay? Click. Right, so because your calculator, you start with row 1, but actually when you write, it's actually 0. So for 2, basically in your calculator, row 2 is actually your A1 term. So after 2 years is actually in your question, term 24. But for your calculator, you go to the 25th row. So I get the value here, and the value, remember to look at the one below to take note of the 2 decimal point for dollar and cents. So how much Erica owes after 2 years? So Erica owes 16,584.65 after 2 years. Now, just for interest, now what is the difference between this amount and the previous amount? So the difference using your CAS calculator, you see the value actually they are side by side, right? So I'll go to basically row 25, which is your 24th terms. So I use the previous value, which is under the cell A25, minus cell B25. So what would be the difference value? So it's 465.33. That means Erica would owe 465.33 less. How long will it take Erica to finish off paying the loan? So if you look at the value from the calculator, it's actually reducing over the time. So you scroll down until you see the value that she doesn't owe anything. That means you have 0. So you see that actually 0 happened between the positive and the negative value here. So you stop at the row where you have the first negative value. So what does it mean by negative 28.58 here? That means it's overpayment. So you go to your slide. So this one means overpayment. Row 63 being the 62nd term, right? So how much is your last payment for Erica minus the overpayment? So using calculator to find the difference equals to 500 plus, because it's already negative, the cell value B63, enter. So this is basically your last payment. So the last payment 471.42. So when it's actually the last month that she paid is actually on at the end of the 62nd month, and she have to pay 471.42. So how long altogether the loan take her to pay off? 62 months, 5 years, 5 times 12 is 60 months, 5 years and 2 months to pay off the loan. Now this is how you get the last payment value. Another method it would be you can use the last positive value before your negative. You can use this 468.105 here times 1 plus 8.5 over 1200, and you will see that it will be the same value as this. Let's try with the calculator. 468.105 is the same value, so being the cell B62 times open bracket 1 plus 8.5 divided by 1200. Okay, and then you enter. You see that the both value will be the same. So any of these two methods is applicable to find your last payment, right? But I think the first one mentioned is actually the easier method.